Many people from small towns tend to stay in one place. They remain sedentary in nature, and they settle where they're from, not wanting to take the risk of finding out where they could go. Today, I'm here to talk about someone who did just the opposite. My great-uncle, Dr. Clifford Klein, or Uncle Cliff as my dad knew him, did amazing things throughout his entire lifetime. Everyone who knew him loved him, even if they didn't know exactly everything about him. Today, I'm going to bring to life the story of Dr. Klein, from his time in Eccleston, to his work with the U.S. government, to his life after the war. Allow me to begin by speaking a little bit about the early life of Dr. Klein. He was born October 24th, 1921 in Worthington, Iowa, but shortly after his birth, he would move to Eccleston, North Dakota, accompanied by his two parents, Anna and George Klein, and his six siblings, Louise, Donald, Vernon, Robert, Eugene, and my grandfather, James. In Eccleston, he'd spent his entire childhood and his entire high school career, graduating from Eccleston High School in the spring of 1938. He went on to go to Jamestown College with a major in chemistry, his biggest interest at the time. He used that degree to go to Birmingham, Alaska, where he would become a chemist for DuPont Chemical Company. It was during his time in Alaska that he would be contacted by the U.S. government to work on a new and special project. This project is known today globally as the Manhattan Project, where on August 6, 1945, the world's first atomic bomb would be dropped on the Japanese city of Hiroshima. This would kill nearly 80,000 people. 3 days later, a second bomb would be dropped on the Japanese city of Nagasaki, killing 40,000 more, according to News Dakota. After this, 9 days later, Japan's emperor would surrender from the war, and he would claim that it was due to a new and most cruel bomb. When the American people first found out that they would be drafted, Dr. Klein planned on becoming a pilot for the U.S. But this plan would never be enacted, as he would be getting the call to be convinced by the government to be able to become a part of this new project down in Oak Ridge, Tennessee. Now, this didn't save him from conscription, as he was labeled as a draft dodger in the public eye. This derogatory label was due to the fact that he couldn't tell anyone where he was going, no friends, no family. It was due to this isolation he met a woman named Elizabeth O'Hara, and they hit it off right away, as she would later become his wife. Now, while talking with David Shannon, Dr. Klein's grandson, he told me as much as he could about Elizabeth. She worked under General Grover, who was the man in charge of the project down in Oak Ridge, and not much is known past that, except for the fact that Shannon had suspicion that she worked as an assistant in the spy arena, since she had a lot to do with military intelligence. Now, as for the rest of Dr. Klein's work, not much is known past that either, except for the fact that he worked on the detonator for the bombs, and that he just continued to work on that project with he didn't work a lot with nuclear power, but that he did a lot of work that was really important in World War II. Now, when he finished with the project, he went on to a completely different lifestyle. After marrying Elizabeth in 1944, he went on to continue his education by going to the University of North Dakota School of Medicine. He didn't stop there either. He went to the Loyola School of Chicago, where he would graduate as a surgeon. In 1952, he moved to Valley City, where he would become a surgeon at Mercy Hospital. It was during the move that he decided that he would build his house himself, and my dad told me that my grandpa always thought he was crazy for building a house in the middle of nowhere. That house is still standing today and is located down by Chautauqua Park. It's actually Jonah's house. And after that, he would become, after he built his house, he would raise 5 children there: Mary Beth, Tom, Jay, Kevin, and Michael. 20 years after they moved, his wife, Elizabeth, would sadly pass away. In 1973, he would remarry, Marion Kruger. In 1986, he retired, but he would still continue his medical practice for 5 years after. In 1991, Marion also passed away, and that gave him the inspiration to write a book on his life. But David Shannon told me that his book was left fragmented and difficult to understand due to his Alzheimer's. In 2007, he sadly passed away, leaving the book unfinished. Even so, every part of his life was memorable, from his time in Eccleston to his work for our country to his medical practice in Valley City. I believe there's a lot to learn from the life of Dr. Klein, and I also believe that whether you're from a small town or a big city, you can always make a difference. Thank you.